If you work with data, you know this feeling, right? You've got mountains of incredibly valuable information, but it's all locked up in files. So today, we're going to break down the playbook for mastering data loading in the Vertica database. Because let's be honest, how you load your data directly impacts how fast you get your answers.
And this really gets to the heart of the problem. It's the challenge so many of us face every single day, moving these massive flat files into a data warehouse to feed all our BI tools and analytics. But it's a bit of a tightrope walk. You go too slow and the business has to wait. You make errors and you could corrupt your insights. So how do you get both speed and reliability? Well, let's find out.
First up, and this might be the most important and most overlooked step of all, preparation. It's so tempting to just start throwing data at the database. But what you do before a single row of data is even touched can absolutely make or break your performance down the line.
And I really can't overstate this. Your query speed, the thing that everyone cares about, is pretty much determined right here, at the beginning. In Vertica, this isn't just about defining columns and data types. It's all about how you design your projections. That's the physical plan for how your data is actually stored, sorted, and compressed on disk. Think of it as the blueprint for performance.
Okay, and here's where Vertica's secret sauce really comes into play. You don't just create a table, you design projections. You're literally telling the database exactly how to distribute the data. Using a command like segmented by hash isn't just a suggestion, it's an order to the database to spread the workload evenly across every single node in your cluster. And why does that matter? Because when you run a query, every node works on its own small piece of the data at the exact same time. That is how you get massively parallel processing and those blazing fast results everyone wants.
All right, with our tables all prepped, let's get to the main event, the copy command. This is your workhorse. It's the primary, high-performance tool for bulk loading data from files directly into Vertica.
The whole process is really built for efficiency. You've got your file, maybe a CSV, you open up a connection with the command line tool vSQL, and then you execute the copy command. Now the key here is that this is a single atomic transaction designed specifically for bulk loading. You're not inserting row by row, which is slow. You are streaming the data directly into the database's optimized storage engine. And here's what it looks like in practice. This one command is doing all of that heavy lifting. We're pointing it to the shipping dimension table, and here's a useful tip. Using a vSQL variable, like $file, makes your scripts totally reusable. Then you just tell it what the delimiter is. In this case, a pipe. And this isn't just for simple text files. With the right parser, you can use the same powerful command to load really complex stuff like JSON or Avro data. But let's be realistic, right? Source data is almost never perfect. So what happens when reality strikes and your perfect CSV file has a rogue comma or a misplaced quote? Does your entire massive 10 million row load just fail? In a lot of other systems, yeah, it would. But this is where Vertica gets really clever. Honestly, this feature is a lifesaver for anyone doing large-scale ETL. Instead of just failing the whole job because of a few bad rows, Vertica intelligently splits the load. All the good data gets loaded, committed, and is immediately available for querying. Meanwhile, the rejected rows are neatly set aside in a separate file for you to analyze later. This means your data pipeline keeps moving, even when the source data is imperfect. And as you can see, it's not a bug, it's a feature. The documentation makes it crystal clear. The system is designed from the ground up to anticipate and handle messy, imperfect data. This philosophy of rejecting individual rows instead of the entire batch is just fundamental to keeping things running smoothly in a production environment.
Okay, so your load is running. Millions of rows are streaming in. But how do you actually keep an eye on things? How do you know what's going on? Let's look at how you monitor the process and verify the results.
If you're a visual person, the Management Console, or MC, is basically your command center. From here, you can see not just the status of your load, but also things like resource consumption across the cluster, potential bottlenecks, all in real time. It's that perfect 30,000-foot view of your database's health.
But hey, if you live in the command line, you are totally covered. You can query system tables like load streams directly from vSQL to get super granular, real-time data on exactly what's being loaded, where it's going, and how fast it's moving. It gives you complete surgical control over your workflow.
And here's a fantastic, super practical tip. Once your copy command finishes, how do you get a definitive count of what actually made it in? Well, the SQL row count function, available right in your client tool, gives you the exact number of rows that were successfully accepted in that transaction. No guesswork needed.
So the data is loaded, the rows are counted, the job's done, right? Well, not quite. There's this vital background process that's always working to make sure your database stays fast and efficient for the long haul.
Let me introduce you to the tuple mover. The best way to think of it is as a tireless, automatic database housekeeper. See, when you load data with copy, it first lands in this temporary in-memory area called the WAS, or Write Optimized Store. That's for speed. The tuple mover's job is to work quietly in the background, moving that data from the WAS to the final, highly compressed, Read Optimized Store, or ROS. This whole two-step process is what allows Vertica to ingest data so incredibly fast, while still maintaining amazing query performance.
Now look, 99% of the time, you just let this thing run automatically. You don't even think about it. But for advanced DBAs, knowing how to take manual control is a really key skill. You might do this to force a merge of lots of small data files, which helps keep your query plans simple and really fast.
And you can see just how direct that control is. It's a simple three-step process. You execute a function to pause the automatic process, you run your specific merge operations, and then you just restart it. This gives you that precise granular control exactly when you need it without ever disrupting the default automatic efficiency of the system.
And that brings us to the end. You've prepared your tables, you've efficiently copied the data, you've handled the inevitable errors, and you've made sure the database is perfectly optimized. All the technical work is done. The only thing left to ask is, what powerful new insights are you about to uncover?